Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. And I want to first and foremost wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. It's Merry Christmas. That's tomorrow. Sorry. Happy Thanksgiving. Today is actually Thanksgiving Day. I'm getting ready to head over here in a few hours to the in-laws for a quick Thanksgiving. And I just want to take a minute and talk to you today about a very Raider Thanksgiving. One of the things that I learned from my father, and I learned many things from my father, but one of the things that I learned from him was the importance of being thankful. And this is all Raiders today, so please stick with me for a second. But I want to explain something to you. But uh, my father's dad died when he was young, very young, and so he did not get as much time with his father as all kids would have wanted. And so my father purposed in his heart that he was going to be a great dad and be there for everything. And here was this man, he was successful in business and but he was at everything. And being a father mattered to him, not because his dad didn't care. It's just his dad had died when he was young and he wanted to make sure he made the most of every moment. And one thing that I learned from my father is Christmas was big to him. He loved Christmas and he loved it. And there would be all these presents. And when I would make him something when I was a kid, or maybe when I was older and had a part-time job, I would buy him something. But I bet I said to him five, six, seven, 8 times, "Boy, Dad, Christmas kind of sucks when you become a dad because all the presents for the kids and you don't get that many." And he'd say, "Son, you don't understand. There is a reason Thanksgiving comes before Christmas, and that's my Christmas." I just stop and think about what I'm thankful for. Sorry. He goes, "I get to think about what I'm thankful for, and you guys are my present." He goes, "And when you become a dad, your present is every day." And he really taught me about the being thankful for little things because his dad had died so young, and when he was young, excuse me, that he learned to appreciate things. I remember one time I bought him a lure, a fishing lure. And the first time he caught a fish on it, because we lived on a lake, and he, you know, said to me, "Hey, I caught a fish on your lure, and man, it made me think of you, and I love you." And it just was, that's him. And sometimes I think that Raider Nation, especially because of the last 20 years, doesn't necessarily take time to think about how good you have it. And I want to explain about a couple of things. I've written some very deep dive articles in which um, leaders of other franchises have said most teams would trade with the Raiders for their fan base. You have a fan base that really cares. And I'm going to tell you, that's not normal. There are a lot of fan bases that if you're winning, great. If you're not, we're not that engaged. Raider Nation's engaged, win, lose, or draw. I've had so many people tell me, win, lose, or tie, I'm a Raider till I die. You need to understand that is not normal. And it is at some places, but it is more of a rarity than it's more of the exception than the rule. And that's why I get so frustrated sometimes when I see Raider fan go after Raider fan. You guys are all the same family and you all care. Now, some of you care and you wanted Derek Carr, and some of you cared and didn't want Derek Carr, but y'all cared. Y'all cared. And I'm going to tell you, years ago, you guys have heard me say this many times. Matt Millen said this to me, and I'll never forget it. Matt's a dear friend, and I love him dearly. And I'll never forget this. He's in Detroit. I'm covering him. I was a beat writer covering the Lions. But we're close friends even to this day. Um, and Matt talked about how every NFL team's fans thinks they're part of the team. Now, I've been around a lot of NFL teams, and I know kind of the perception of the fan base from inside the building. And he said, but with the Raiders, the players think the fans are part of the team. Man, that was powerful to me. And there is a relationship that Raider Nation has that is so deep and so connected, both with the players and amongst the fans. And that's the first thing I think that you should be really, really thankful for. Number two, stability and ownership. Now, you may say, well, but look at what Mark's done. Okay, let's look at what Mark's done. Mark's not the football guy that his dad is. I think we all would agree with that because I know Mark would. But he's a 10 times better businessman than his dad ever was. So he has quadrupled the value of the franchise. You went from being a franchise that struggled financially to be able to do things to now your pockets are full. You can do anything that you want. You're flush with cash. You have the best stadium in the NFL, and I've been to all of them. So don't, if you haven't, I don't want to, don't, I'm not even going to talk to you. I told you guys, uh, it was interesting to me during COVID, the first year I covered the team, uh, listening to people who had been to SoFi on national programs talk about how much more better Allegiant is. I've been to SoFi many times. I think it's a beautiful stadium. I'm not ripping the stadium, but it's not Allegiant. It's not close. You have a tremendous stadium. And oh, by the way, the best team headquarters and training center in the National Football League. And that's not close. I mean, I really would love to see the Raiders, except people are training year round, to give some tours of their facility. I mean, the outdoor fields, the outdoor pools, the hot tubs, the indoor work, the weight rooms, the locker rooms. It's phenomenal. The Raiders training facility is phenomenal. Not 1 cent was spared. It is phenomenal. I'll tell you this. I've eaten in the cafeteria several times, and I would rather eat at the cafeteria at the Raiders than any restaurant in Vegas. And I've been to all the expensive big ones. It's not even close. It's amazing. The janitorial staff, that place is immaculately clean, and they're constantly. The security, the PR people, the executives upstairs, the attorneys. It's just a phenomenal headquarters, and phenomenal people work there. It's pretty awesome. You have a lot to be thankful for there. You're not going to have teams, free agents turn down your team because of your facilities or cash. That's a big deal. And I think that Mark Davis does not get enough credit. Now, I think there are things that you can be critical for from Mark Davis. And quite frankly, if you've ever had a chance to talk to him, he's rather critical of himself. I have found him to be very much down to earth. And quite frankly, I've found him to be warm. Um, that's why I felt so bad when fans were going after him in the crowds or out, out and about, because he does care. But I think there's another angle with him that you need to be thinking about. And the firing of Josh McDaniels, I believe, was a metamorphical moment for him. I don't think he wanted to fire him. I mean, it cost him a ton of money, but he knew he needed to, and he fouled his gut. That was a big deal for me. That to me showed me a lot with Mark. It's a growth process. So I think you got to be thankful for your facilities. You have to be thankful for your stadium. You got to be thankful for your fan base. You got to be thankful for your owner. And let's talk about Champ Kelly. I mean, this is a guy that I heralded that should be considered for the general manager's job when Mike Mayock was canned. You get him as an assistant, and then he's there when you move on from Dave Ziegler. Next week, I'm going to get a lot into Champ Bailey. I know a lot of you have been asking me about him. Why am I so strong on him? I'm going to get into that a lot next week. So we'll talk more about it next week. And then you got a coach who the players love. They love. And they care about him. And he matters to them. And they listen and they fight for him. Come on. None of us thinks that this Raiders team is complete. None of us thinks that this Raiders team is a Super Bowl contender. But man, they got a lot of the tools. And this time there better not be a rebuild, because if there's a rebuild, Raider Nation has a right to be outraged, because you don't need a rebuild. You need to get more balance in your spending, talking about defense to offense. But you got a very good defense. You got a great defensive coordinator. You've got some great players all around. And I think that you've got a coach that these guys believe in. And who knows what happens when the season's over? Who knows? I've made it clear. I'm rooting for Champ Kelly and I'm rooting for AP. And I'm not a fan. I just root for good people. And those two guys are good people, really good people. And they're good football minds. I mean, you don't need good people in those jobs who aren't good football people. They are good football people and they're good guys. So I'm rooting for them. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about your players. You got a lot of great players. I want you to think about this right now. Okay. Colton Miller is an exceptional left tackle. Daniel Carlson, AJ Cole, exceptional players. Devontae Adams, exceptional. Max Crosby, exceptional. Robert Spillane, exceptional. You got a lot of other players that are pushing towards being exceptional and are good players. And then you got a lot of players with potential to be good or possibly great because they're just very young. You got a team of hard workers. Is there a couple people on the team that I think are probably knuckleheads? Yeah, I do. But I'm going to tell you, I've said this before. I've done this for decades. I've never been around a team where there are as many good people as there is in this locker room and in this organization. It's pretty phenomenal. And you guys got a lot to be thankful for. I know you're frustrated because every year it's, well, is this the year? I get it. I get it. You may say, no, you don't. Really, I grew up a Lions fan. I'm not anymore. I'm not really a fan because I know people in every organization, so I root for good people. But I knew exactly what that was like. So I get it. But it doesn't mean you still don't stop and appreciate the good. And now I want to talk about from me to you. I read a survey recently, and I don't remember where I read it, so please forgive me, that said nearly 90% of Americans don't feel appreciated. And when I read that, that just made me sad. We have a lot of people living lives and they wonder, where's the meaning? Because if you don't feel appreciated, you're going to question the meaning. And so I just want to say this to you. Occasionally I'll take a picture when I'm at the Raiders or whatever and thank you guys. That's not insincere. And you have a lot of places that you can go to get your Raiders information. I'm certainly not the only one. There are lots of good people, some of them my friends, who cover this team. And you choose to come here. And so I just want you, if you're one of those nearly 90% of Americans that don't feel appreciated, I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. And every single day when I start my day, and one of the things I do is I thank the Lord for you guys. And I ask that I have his direction so that I can give you the best following, for sharing. I'm thankful for the company I work with that its business model is, hey, everybody's trying to charge everybody for everything. Let's give it to them and hope they share it and allow our coverage to grow. That's why we tell you don't pay people for what we give you. But I'm thankful for my company and I'm thankful for you guys. I appreciate you. You are tremendous people. I love your emails. I mean, I crack up because almost every email or comment I get starts with, I've been a fan for 41 years. I've been a fan for 37 years. I've been a fan for 3 months, whatever. I love how Raider Nation does. I've never seen a fan base do that. And I love that. And so from me to you guys, I just want you to know that I'm thankful for you and I appreciate you. To all of our public servants, police officers, firemen, EMT, nurses, doctors who don't get today off, we appreciate you. We're thankful for you. I get to hear from you guys. And I had one police officer say to me how much he appreciated my podcast because he says, when I'm sitting in my car, I get to listen. Thank you to that particular gentleman that sent me in particular. I want you to know I'm thinking about you, and you can tell I read your email because I just mentioned you. But to all of our other amazing police officers, to our military, thank you to all of you, whether you've served before or you're presently serving. I love it. I get emails all the time from military people saying, "Hey, I'm deployed here or I'm on a base here, and thanks for making me feel like I'm close to the Raiders." Man, thank you for protecting our freedom. Our American military, you guys and gals are amazing. You are the defenders of freedom, and you are not ignored. Your safety is prayed for every day by a lot of people, and ask God that you get to come home. So for all of us that get to be with family today, it's because of people like you. So thank you. So as you gather around your Thanksgiving table, or maybe you already have, just as a Raider, take time and be thankful for what you have. Is it what you want? No. One thing I love about Raider Nation, if it's not hoisting a Super Bowl, it's not what you want. I get it. I respect it. I really do. But it doesn't mean you don't stop and appreciate what you have. And I think that's really, really cool. So I'm from my family to yours. Happy Thanksgiving. And from all of us at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, thank you for all that you do for us. Thanks for joining us. Take time today and think about all the things you have to be excited about as a Raider fan. And oh, by the way, it's Chiefs week. I tell people all the time, it is one of the weeks where the NFL reminds me of college. It's just bitter rivalry week, and I love it. It's Chiefs week. There's so much to be jacked up and fired about. I appreciate all of you. I wish you nothing but the best. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow. So thank you again. Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider.